live from the Salone Broadcasting Corporation, but we are very sorry, for starting the program late. It was due to some technical reasons, but those reasons have been solved, and we continue with the program. Good morning, Salone, the program that always starts your day. I am Sheku Smile, teaming up with.
I am Francis Bernard, and in the program this morning, we shall be talking to the youth envoy as he is committed to create more opportunities for young people across the country. Also, as President Bio prioritizes women empowerment in the new cabinet, we shall be talking to the presidential spokesman. All these stories plus more are lined up in this edition of the program. Good morning, Sierra Leone. You can be part of it by sending your comments and views to the number 077230440, or you can follow us on Facebook at SLBC Channel 31 Live. The program is Good Morning, Sierra Leone. We start straight with our first issue of the day, Sheku.
Yes, indeed, and it has to do with recent appointments by the newly elected President of the Republic of Sierra Leone, Brigadier Dr. Julius Bio, and the presidential spokesman is here, Alhaji Alfakan, to talk to us about these recent appointments. But however, let me just go through the wise words once again, and it is when our quote of the day, an American businessman, Harvey Firestone, and it says, "The growth and development of people is the highest calling of leadership."
Yes.
Well, like I said earlier, since his re-election, President Julius Bio has announced his second set of cabinet ministers who will begin their operations immediately in his second term. The list of appointed ministers, deputies, and other officials reflect President Bio's prioritization of women in governance. This is in fulfillment of his commitment to women's empowerment during this administration. Well, for more on the appointment, especially if it meets the 30% threshold of women in governance, we have in the studios the presidential spokesman, Alhaji Alfakan. Good morning, Alhaji, and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Mr. Smiler. Thank you very much.
Now, let us talk about President Bio's cabinet. After his re-election on June 23. Now, let us talk about, especially in the area of women, do you think that threshold of 30% had been met?
He exceeded that. Thank you very much. President Bio promised before the legislation of the GIWI, that is the Gender Empowerment, the Women's Empowerment Act, he promised that he would give the women of Sierra Leone at least 30% quota in all governance appointments and parliamentary elected MPs. And he has surpassed that. In Parliament, there's 41 members of Parliament who are women. And in the cabinet that's just been announced, you have 21 women in it. 10 of whom are full cabinet ministers and 11 deputy cabinet ministers. So you have 21 cabinet ministers in President Bio's cabinet who are women. And that translates to 33% of the total cabinet that President Bio has appointed, which exceeds the 30% legislated minimum. So we can see that President Bio has confidence in placing women at the center of governance, and at the same time he has kept to his word that he would provide space for women to grow in the government of Sierra Leone. And we have seen that it is not only the women who have been considered here, but the youth also in Sierra Leone have been considered. In the cabinet, there are 16 people who are youth and under 40 years old. When I say youth, it's the definition, official definition of youth. These are below 40 years, and 16 of them, 9 of whom are full cabinet ministers. In fact, one of them is the de facto prime minister of Sierra Leone as chief minister, which means that he is coordinating all the activities of ministers. Among them also, the youngest of them is a woman. She's 32, in a ministry that I believe is one of the most important ministries that's been created, carved out of the Ministry of Information and Communication. And that ministry, I believe, is one of the engines of growth for Sierra Leone in terms of transformation, in terms of innovation, and even economic benefits for the country. And that has been given to a young woman who's only 32 years old. So we can see that President Bio does not have any inhibitions about giving good positions to women and even the young. So we believe that this is a government with, to use the metaphor, with fresh legs to finish the second half of the game.
Alhaji, appointing young people is good, and all young people have been yearning for this. But the question is, are these young people capable of doing what they are supposed to do? Are they capable to move with the trend of President Bio? Are they capable?
Thank you very much. When the young people were being chosen, age was not only the consideration. There was also the consideration of capacity. What have you done? How qualified are you? How experienced are you? So in these cases, most of the people who have been appointed, and I'll just give you two examples, one male and one female. The one is Dr. Senge, we already know, he's a very qualified man and capable. The second one, a male, is Dr. Patrick Baka. He's a young man who is well qualified, who has worked in various international employment bases in Sierra Leone and outside of Sierra Leone. And he has proven his mettle that the kind of job for which he has been cut out fits with the kind of position which President Bio has given him. The other one is the woman that I just spoke about. She's 32 years, well qualified, a barrister, a lawyer from Wales, a master's from Colombia, but also the legal policy analyst and the DSTI, the transformation, sorry, the technology and information arm of the ministry that was based in State House, where she was working. And that's where she has been plucked out because of the experience and taken to head the Ministry of Communication, the Information and Technology. And we believe that she is well qualified to do that. She's shown that she can work under pressure. She's shown that she can work and diligently, and she's well trained for the job.
Okay, now Alhaji, let us talk about those who have been dropped. I mean the first team, because what we're saying is entirely a second team that has taken over. Now, those who have been dropped, are there possibilities of them resurfacing?
To my reckoning, there are 966 appointed jobs which are directly appointed by the president. 966 in this country, maybe more. Because when I was in government, that was the number.
But you are still in government.
No, when I am in this government. When I was in the other government, in the government of President Ernest Bai Koroma, there were 966, maybe a little bit more. It's about 1,000, closer. So if you appoint 40 or 50 people now, and others have been left out, there is a strong possibility that of the remaining 1,000 jobs or so, you will find somewhere to place them, especially when the team that's been changed slightly is a team that has succeeded in the last 5 years, in the last manifesto, new direction manifesto. So you look at this as the second inning of a team in the second half. you do some changes and you do some shiftings in the wings, and that's what President Bill has done. He has put in some more fresh legs, because now is the time to deliver the legacy, because after this 5 years, that will be the second term, and it is very important that a second term president leaves a good legacy, and I think he wants to consolidate on the gains of the past.
Does that mean that those that were in the first team, if they were still with him, they would have been able to deliver what he wants to do in this second half, as you are saying, the second inning?
No, that's not it. What I'm saying is that you have a huge team.
Or are they slow to match up with his speed?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that you have a team. When Leone Stars was going to play, they took 26 people for an 11-man team. All right? There may be accidents here and there. There may be injuries. And there may be times when you believe that somebody else needs to come in and show their own mettle as well. Okay. So it's a case of just bringing in fresh legs, because he has a wide spectrum of a team from which he can choose. Okay. So it doesn't say that people who were there were slower. But from the commitment that he made, youth is very important here, youth and gender. And as you can see, in the last government, I think we'll have only about 15 to 20% women at the time, youth maybe about 25 or 30% at the time. But he wants to make sure he meets this minimum of 30% threshold, and to show also that the youth here in this country have a bigger opportunity and a better prospects of living beyond some of us, and the continuation of Sierra Leone in peace and all that, they have more stake in it, because they are younger and they have a longer time in front of us, all things being equal.
Honorable Alhaji Al-Fakad, continue to stay with us, man. Here, talking about the recent appointment.
Spokesman. Now, Alhaji, let us talk about, because in democracy, this is a multi-party state, and we saw an opposition boycott. How does government view opposition boycott at this particular point in time?
Well, the boycott itself is not good. It's not advisable, because not going to parliament after you've been elected by your people, whom you canvassed under rain, under shine, and for you to refuse to take up your seat is really a disservice to your people who voted you in. So for me, it's something that should not have been tolerated, because the dispute which they have, according to our laws, is better settled in the court of law, and that is what the laws say. To blatantly say you're not going to go to court, it means you don't want to obey the laws of the country. However, for us, in the last swearing-in ceremony, all the parties that were voted into parliament were represented. The SLPP was there in full force. The Paramount Chiefs were there. The APC had its representation there. Member of Parliament, Honorable Mohammed Bangura, did not go there as an independent, nor did he go there as a member of the SLPP or any other party. He went there as a member of the APC, because he saw that it is in the service of the nation that for which he had been voted in. So as far as we are concerned, that is a non-starter to say that the parliament was boycotted. Some people refused to go. The party was represented by Dr. Mohammed Bangura. But what I think we should pay more attention to, now that the time is running out, is the fact that President Bill promised us to have an inclusive government. He has had that. He already has 36% of his cabinet made up of women, 33% made up of young people. And also, the regional balance itself is admirable. It's the first time. A party that's supposed to have its stronghold in the south and the east of the country has its largest number of members of cabinet coming from the north. 36% of the members of parliament are from the north. And 27% from the south, which is the base of that party. The east has 19. Western region, of course, they have 7. But you can see that the president has stretched out so that everybody should feel included. The women feel included. The youth feel included. And because the regions have been taken into consideration. And it is not token positions that he has given us to the north there. The finance ministry, the 2 ministers in there, and the 3 of them all come from the north. Honorable Sheku Fantamadi Bangura, northwest. Honorable Bukari Kaloko, northeast. Honorable Geneva Bangura proposed, is also from the north. So you see, he has tried to balance it, even the Attorney General and his deputy. So they didn't give us those tokenish positions at all. He has tried to spread, taking into consideration the capacity and the ability of the people.
Alhaji, one would say some of these people that you are naming that they are from the north, you have some of them, they are from the north by origin, their parents, but when you check, some of them, they actually, you say they came from the east or the south. For example, I have friends who are from the north, but when you talk to them, they will tell you, I went to school in Kenema, in Bo. In fact, my parents live in Bo, Kenema. So you say yes, originally they are from the north, but they are south. They are from the south, or their orientation is like from the east or the south.
All right, I'll take you on that. That's why we say one country, one people. Kandayum Kela is from the north.
Sure.
He went to school in Bo. Dr. Samura Kamara is from the north. He went to school in Bo. Honorable I.B. Kadu is from the north. He went to school in Bo. Does that change his origin? No. What we are saying here is that it was one country. The south and the east were the places to go to for school. Bo School was set up in 1906. The first secondary school in the north was in 1958. A whole 52 years later. So where do you expect people to come to? So that is why there's this mix. They didn't go there just to go. They went there to look for something, either economic benefits or education. So yes, so it still makes them people from the north.
Let's look at the first female being appointed as Minister of Sports, the first in the history of Sierra Leone.
That's commendable. That's commendable in the sense that President Bio considers that any job a man can do, a woman can do, maybe sometimes better. That is why he has not had any compunction to appoint a woman to be the Minister of Sports. Right. So that is just President Bio. Right. He's a man that spreads out. No, I want to talk of something. Please don't leave that. My ambassador here, and you also mentioned that the TRC, one of the recommendations is that youth should be brought in to governance and given positions. The TRC is a product of the war, after the war. And this TRC is a document that all of us should be reading and following. So anybody who is interested in the peace of Sierra Leone will look at those things that went wrong during those 11 years that we must change. And President Bio being one of the protagonists of the peace negotiations in Sierra Leone is very conversant with the dictates, the provisions in the TRC report. And as much as he's doing what he's doing, but he also pays attention to the peace and quiet of the country. That is why he's introducing a large number of youth. Because the saying goes, you set a thief to catch a thief. If the youth are the ones who go out there to go to war, They are the ones who go out there to cause chaos. Give them the management of the country. Let them fight against themselves. They will not. And I'm speaking to the youth here. You know how war is described? They define war as a place where young people are asked to go by older people to meet other young people that they don't know, they don't have a palaver with them, they don't know them, but they go there and kill each other because the old people tell them, this time don't allow it. That's why President Bio said, come into governance. If anything goes wrong, you are responsible. We want to see Sierra Leone peaceful. And that is why we are sitting here. When President Bio was a youth himself, he was head of state, president of Sierra Leone at 27. But in that period, he was able to actually sit down and say, why did these people send us to war? I am not going to kill any more rebels. I'll go and look at the old man who's telling them to fight us and bring him out into the open. Let us talk peace. Why do you ask us to kill each other? And he did that. He brought forth the Sanko. And that was the start of the peace process in Sierra Leone. So he's continuing that. And we must give him that accolade which he deserves. So he's still continuing with that kind of thing. So thank you very much for that.
All right, okay, thank you so much. He is Alhaji Alpha Khan, the presidential spokesman, updating us this morning on the recent appointments by President Julius Maada Bio, the newly re-elected president of the Republic. Well, of the Second Republic, and now we are in the 6th Parliament. Now, Lisa, let us talk about youths. Okay, Alhaji Dr. Alpha Khan, tell us exactly what do you expect of Sierra Leoneans at this particular point in time?
Well, I think Sierra Leoneans should take the bait has been thrown by President Bio. President Bio has set a lot of standards. I was with him throughout the campaign. I didn't see himself or his team serve 1 ounce of alcohol to anybody, youth or older. No drugs were permitted in that campaign. If we all do that, set that as standards, we start weaning our kids from this abuse of intoxicating substances, it will help us in shaping their attitude. The second thing I want people to know is that to trust President Bio. He has already shown that several times over. In 1996, he was a young man, but he fought for peace. He was in the trenches, but he also negotiated for peace on the table because that's where it ended. And when he came in, the first thing he said is that I'm going to improve the human capital of my people so that we also will be looking towards development rather than creating unnecessary things for us. And I am going to build on the youth. I'm going to build on the women. I'm going to make sure that women are empowered in Sierra Leone. And he has done that. So let us come together, put our shoulders to the wheel and push behind him so that we can take this diamond of a bar.
In 3 seconds, what is expected of the youth?
Elections are over and I call on every youth. I mean, it's a clarion call.